This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Friday, the 30th day of October in the year 2020. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here's what we're tracking tonight. On the same day that the country recorded its 124th coronavirus-related death and 45 new cases, the government announced that a national curfew and a number of other COVID-19 measures are being relaxed. With effect from Sunday, the 1st of November, the curfew will be from 10:30 p.m. to 4 a.m., allowing more outside time for citizens. Additionally, gyms will be allowed to reopen but at 50% capacity, and sport events will be allowed to resume but under strict guidelines. Non-essential travel to regions 1 and 9 are still restricted. The updated guidelines also reveal that schools may be reopened by the Ministry of Education subject to compliance with the measures in the guidelines and any additional instruction that would be provided by the Ministry of Education. The Minister of Education, Priya Manik Chand, recently told News Source that any plan to reopen schools will be based on advice from the health authorities, and it will likely be done in a phased manner, with students preparing for the CSEC and CAPE examinations likely to return first on a shift system. Most of the other health guidelines remain in place. Guyana today recorded its 124th COVID-19 related death. 42 of those deaths were recorded in this month of October, making it the deadliest month for the pandemic in the country so far. 41 deaths were recorded in September, the previous deadliest month. More news coming up in a moment.
Guyana, we've been through it all.
But as a people we have
weathered every storm
and risen to every challenge.
Because it is the people of Guyana
that gives it its strength.
all the people,
regardless of race,
class or religion.
We are one people, one strength.
And now is our time. A time to rise. Together, we rise.
Mobile Special and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc. Mobile Special and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc.
Ravinas and Water Street and Anans and Regent Street just received a new shipment of leatherette in over 16 colors. Leatherette can be used in a wide variety of applications, including covering speedboat seats, cargo, and keeping commuters dry. Ideal for minibus and car seats, leatherette can be custom made to your seating requirements. Leatherette is easy to clean and sanitize and a better choice during the COVID pandemic. For fast and comfortable shopping, visit us to get the best prices in town. Ravinas and Water Street and Anans and Regent Street.
The government of Guyana is committed to a comprehensive and inclusive housing development program for the benefit of all Guyanese. This is evident from its actions to date. However, the previous administration did absolutely nothing to identify alternative lands to house the persons squatting on state-owned lands on the east coast of Demerara. This illegal act was politically motivated, and poor and vulnerable individuals and families are being callously exploited for political purpose and private profiteering. Those lands have been identified for immediate and substantial cane cultivation by the Guyana Sugar Corporation. The information collected shows many of the squatters have proven to be homeowners, and yet the government has made every effort to engage the squatters and seek an amicable solution. Persons are being reminded that it is a criminal offense to illegally occupy state-owned land. The government cannot and will not allow squatting to be used as a means of acquiring land for housing. The government's offer to provide immediate, safe, temporary alternative accommodation to those persons in need remains in place.
We all know a strong educational foundation is a key to successful learning. Global technology combines award-winning curriculum with innovative technology and teacher support to help students reach their potential. Our online platform creates an engaging learning experience. Using any device, you can be a part of amazing class discussions, collaborate with others, and have access to virtual learning software. With our multiple payment methods, you will never have to leave home. Find out how global technology can allow you to learn anything, anywhere, at any time.
For all the Zoom hashouts and recipe tryouts, the world changed and we were right there, standing with you, always near, getting closer in so many ways, laughing together as we face these days. And because we are Caribbean, we've got a special insight that tells us there's no need to worry, world. We'll be all right.
Mobil Special and all other Mobil lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobil Special and all other Mobil lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Welcome back. The impact of the coronavirus pandemic on the global battle with climate change was highlighted yesterday as Guyana hosted a virtual high-level event as chair of the G77 group and China. During his address to the meeting with UN officials and other world leaders, President Irfaan Ali said the coronavirus pandemic threatens the fight against climate change.
The COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic threatens the fight against climate change by diverting our attention from the gravity of the environmental dangers we face, while threatening to reverse the gains made in our quest towards the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals.
According to the President, the COVID-19 pandemic has coincided with a series of unrepented hazards from storms and wildfires to floods and droughts, all linked to unacceptable levels of global warming and climate change.
The COVID-19 pandemic has coincided with a series of unrepented hazards, storms, wildfires, floods, and droughts, all linked to unacceptable levels of global warming and climate change.
President Ali said the immediate task of containing, mitigating, and eventually eradicating the coronavirus must not force world leaders to ignore the challenges of protecting the environment and the need for collective action. Vice President Bharat Jagdeo, Foreign Minister Hugh Todd, and a number of other government officials, along with UN officials, also addressed the virtual conference. During his weekly public interest television program, Mr. Granger, who is credited with ensuring the return of local elections during his term in office, said it would be an insult to the people of Guyana to be told that local elections cannot take place by its constitutional due date.
PPP is insulting the Guyanese nation to say that they can't hold local government elections next year, December, when they're due. My government held local government elections, even though we didn't win. The PPP performed better than my party. But it is true, it is a constitutional obligation, and it is an insult to tell the Guyanese people that he cannot abide by the constitution to hold local government elections when they're due.
In an interview earlier this week, President Irfaan Ali said he believes the Elections Commission needs to be fixed first before local elections could take place. His statement followed a similar position by his Attorney General. But the PNC leader David Granger said that position will not be accepted. Mr. Granger said the PPP appears to be moving once again to deprive the people of Guyana of their right to elect leaders in their communities. During its 23 years in office between 1992 and 2015, the PPP did not call local elections for nearly 20 years. Former President David Granger said the president does not have the right to be toying with the country's constitution and his feelings.
What if he feels that the Election Commission can be fixed next year, or can be fixed the following year or the following year? He does not have that right. And the Guyanese people are going to resist any attempt to take away from them their right to have local government elections. Local government is central to the administration of this country. We created 4 towns at Mabaruma, Madia, Letem, and Bartica.
The PPP appears to be setting the stage for major changes at the Elections Commission, with charges being filed against the Chief Election Officer, his deputy, and other GCOM officials, accusing them of alleged wrongdoing at the last general elections. The Clerk of the National Assembly, Sherlock Isaacs, has indicated that he intends to seek legal advice after receiving documents from Minister of Tourism Unish Waldron pertaining to her renunciation of her U.S. citizenship. Mr. Isaacs would not provide details of the documents or whether Ms. Waldron was no longer a U.S. citizen at the time of her swearing in as a Member of Parliament. He said he is not an attorney and prefers to seek legal advice to better understand the documents that were dispatched to him. The APNU-AFC coalition, through its Chief Whip Christopher Jones, has requested a copy of the documents turned over to the Clerk of the National Assembly by the Tourism Minister. The opposition is contending that at the time of her appointment as a government minister and her swearing in as a member of parliament, Waldron was still a U.S. citizen, and therefore her appointment and swearing in were in breach of the Constitution. The minister in a statement admitted that at the time of her appointment as a minister, she was still a U.S. citizen, but she claims that she had renounced that citizenship by the time of her swearing in as a member of parliament. She has not made her renunciation documents public. The government has fired the head of its Special Purpose Unit and former Chief Executive Officer of NISIL, Colvin Heath London. In a letter carrying today's date and signed by the Attorney General Anil Nandlal, the government said its decision follows a review of Heath London's on-the-job performance. The government has accused the former CEO of overlooking a number of alleged illegalities and failing in the performance of his duties by approving the issuance of various leases of NISIL properties, including lands in Peters Hall and Ogle. Nandlal claims that many of the leases were done without cabinet approval and were not reviewed by counsel for NISIL. Heath London has also been accused of issuing sale of agreements and leases for various pieces of NISIL lands at Ogle without ensuring that full payments were received for the lands in accordance with the terms of the agreements. Nandlal said there was also the issue of vesting orders being approved and issued without the involvement of the NISIL Council. Concerns were also expressed by the government over the alleged failure in getting the NISIL accounts audited by the Auditor General's office for several years. The Attorney General said the actions of Heath London and his dereliction of duty resulted in the government of Guyana through NISIL losing billions of dollars, and therefore his services are no longer needed. He was terminated with immediate effect and asked to surrender all company belongings to NISIL. Vice President Bara Jagdeo and the Attorney General Anil Nandlal have been accusing the former government of allowing improper sale of government lands under NISIL. The Attorney General has indicated that he intends to involve the Special Organized Crime Unit to probe the matters. Let's tell you now that Canadian High Commissioner to Guyana Lillian Chatterjee is wrapping up her tour of duty in this country, and she has been reassigned to Barbados by the Canadian government. She's expected to take up her new post soon, as a new Canadian High Commissioner to Guyana is to be accredited within weeks. Ms. Chatterjee was accredited as Guyana's chief diplomat to Guyana back in 2017 under the APNU-AFC government. She enjoyed a good working relationship with the last government until it became suspicious of her work, following the no-confidence motion vote by Charandas Prasad, who invoked his Canadian citizenship and sought diplomatic protection just after his vote and before his exit from Guyana. Chatterjee has always maintained that she had no knowledge of Prasad's planned vote until it happened. She has said that she was not even in Guyana at the time of the no-confidence vote. During the election, she also came under criticism after describing a move to the court by a supporter of the APNU-AFC as frivolous. She has never budged from that position and stood by the statement even after coming under criticism from senior government officials at the time. The High Commissioner was also among some of the outspoken diplomats who pressed the last government to accept the results of the elections and begin a transition. She has been making her farewell rounds by meeting with various government officials in the past week. Major U.S. carrier American Airlines will restart its service to Guyana on Monday with 6 flights per week between Georgetown and Miami. American suspended its service back in March as the coronavirus pandemic forced airports to shut down their operations, crippling many players in the aviation sector. The airline will initially restart the Guyana operations with the Miami flights and is expected to restart its non-stop New York service by December. American Airlines is returning to Guyana as another major U.S. carrier, JetBlue, has announced its plans to begin Guyana operations in December. Caribbean Airlines has also restarted limited flights between Guyana and New York and Guyana and Toronto. And Suriname Airways has also announced the restart of its twice-weekly service between Georgetown and Miami. The airlines appear to be lining up to cash in on the upcoming holiday travel season. Guyana's 2 international airports reopened for full operations earlier this month, with COVID-19 measures in place. Incoming passengers are being reminded that they must present a negative PCR COVID-19 test result from a test that would have been taken within 72 hours of their arrival. For those with a negative test result that they got back within 5 to 7 days, they'll have to subject themselves to an additional test upon arrival in Guyana at the airport. The passengers will have to stand the cost for that test. Across the region is coming up next. Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc.
The Christmas season is here once again, and we encourage everybody to be safe. Between October 23rd and December 31st, buy your groceries and fuel from Falls, and you can win a Christmas hamper every week or your fuel purchase free. Just spend $3,000, complete the coupon, drop it in the box, and then listen for your name. And to make it even better, you can win a bumper hamper on Christmas Eve day. Yes, our prices are great, the environment is safe, and everyone wins when you shop in the Falls Christmas promotion, Land of Canaan.
Been through it all.
But as a people we have
Weathered every storm.
And risen to every challenge.
Because it is the people of Guyana
That gives it its strength.
all the people,
Regardless of race,
class or religion.
We are one people, one strength.
And now is our time. A time to rise. Together, we rise.
Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Across the region right now, Brazil expects to have a vaccine against COVID-19 approved and ready for use in a national inoculation program by June of next year. That's according to the country's health regulator. With the world's worst outbreak of coronavirus after the United States and India, Brazil has become a key testing ground and has approved late-stage clinical trials for 4 vaccines that are under development. The official told the Reuters news agency that the company involved in the vaccine has not decided on the minimum efficacy to require, but he said the agency has approved vaccines in the past with less than 50% effectiveness. The U.S. ambassador to Jamaica, Donald Tapia, has apologized for controversial tweets made from his official Twitter account on Tuesday. Tapia found himself in a Twitter storm that saw Jamaica's Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Minister commenting publicly, taking issue with the posts. However, he said the tweets were not made by him, but said he takes full responsibility for what took place. The tweets were in relation to Jamaica working along with a Chinese company for the development of 5G technology. The U.S. government, including President Donald Trump, remains suspicious of Chinese technology, citing national security risks as its main talking point. The U.S. ambassador to Jamaica has repeatedly spoken of his unease and has even warned the Jamaican government of the Chinese alleged intent in the affairs of the country. And finally tonight, international news. The United States saw a record high of 91,000 new COVID-19 cases reported on Thursday, with spikes in dozens of states just days before the presidential election. The same day, over 1,000 Americans died with the virus, as the national death toll and number of patients in hospital continue to trend upward. The U.S. is just shy of 9 million total cases, according to the Johns Hopkins University tally. The contest between Donald Trump and Joe Biden comes to a head on Tuesday. This is the 3rd time this month that the U.S. daily death toll has surpassed 1,000, according to Reuters. 21 states are experiencing outbreaks, with some of the most severe in the states that will be key in deciding the 2020 U.S. elections. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, reporting. Have a safe weekend.